This is my guide to Common App essays. I hope you enjoy. So basically, the first thing I really want to let you guys know is that the essay really does matter. Universities, they pay admissions people a lot of money and they spend a lot of time to review each and every one of your essays. And so they would not actually do this if it was not very valuable to them. And the reason why they're doing it is not so that you can impress them, through your grades, through your extracurricular activities, through the letters of recommendation that people write for you. This will tell them a lot of really cool things about you. But the thing is that they actually want to know, things about you, because especially when you get to the point of the more selective universities and you get to the point where, you have tons and tons of people applying for the same spot, Ivy League universities, universities that offer scholarships, everyone tends to have good grades and everyone tends to have nice SAT scores. And so if you want to know why you should choose this person over that person, you actually need to start looking at their essays and at these other sort of holistic ways of thinking and see how they're different. And so if you can see here, for example, they ask universities every year what it is you actually look for, what do you care about when it comes to international student applications. Here you can see, so if you can get that English proficiency score, if you can just get that TOEFL or Duolingo score, then great, they really want you to get that. And then as you go down, you see, the grades and the SAT and these sorts of things. But then there's the essay there. And so if you have a university, it's like an Ivy League school, if you're applying to MIT, everyone's gonna have these good grades. Everyone's gonna have a nice SAT score. And so this is where you start to see why the essay is really so important, and also why the essay does not actually need to be about why you're so awesome. I mean, you are awesome, you will be awesome, and and your essay will show good sides of you. But it's not about that. It's about showing your honest side, your honest self. And so this is especially true. I wanted to take a little time just to show something about scholarships, that this is especially true for those of you who are applying to scholarships. Because if you are someone who needs actually more than just tuition, if you need someone to help you support your housing as well, then you're going to basically be in a situation where no matter what the university is, it's going to be Ivy League level. You're going to have lots of international students applying. It's going to be very, very difficult. And so the essay is going to matter even more. And similarly too, the more money you need, the harder it's going to be. And the more that holistic evaluation starts to matter. If you have, for example, those universities that don't care about your need at all, which are Harvard, Yale, MIT, Princeton, and Amherst, and then you have those universities that offer need-based financial aid, which is about 60 to 100 other universities. These ones are ones where having that really good essay is going to be extremely, extremely, extremely important. Now we get to this point where we're talking about the actual Common App essay itself. It's about 650 words, that's the maximum. And it gets sent off to a bunch of different universities. So you're not supposed to actually say which universities you're sending it to in the essay itself. There's lots of different prompts. There's lots of different suggestions for what you can write about. But the goal is always the same, to write about yourself and to be memorable and be authentic and be success-oriented. I know a lot of you guys, a lot of my students, they have some trouble writing about themselves. I know the urge is to be modest, not to praise yourself. Try to avoid that for this particular essay. You're not trying to show that you're better than other people. You're trying to show how you're different than other people. Being able to say, these are the things I think I'm good at. These are my values. This is what I care about. These are my accomplishments that I'm proud of. This is not about you saying that you're better than anybody else. It is about you trying to help them understand you better and what you care about. In the Common App, there is a topic, and it's actually the most popular topic. It's the last prompt, and it's a choose your own. So it says, if you don't like anything else we suggest for you, then you can choose to write about this. I think about 33% of students will typically, decide to write about this particular essay. But I would encourage you to actually look at the prompts before choosing this one, because actually I find that almost any story that students want to tell can be contained in one of the other 6 prompts, and those prompts do help you to kind of focus your story and understand what you're writing about. So in general, I organize the Common App essay prompts, the 6 ones that they give you. You can think of them in 3 themes. The first theme is this sentence: if you don't know blank about me, then you don't really know me. And so the first prompt that's about this is: some students have a background, identity, interest, or talent that is so meaningful that they believe their application would be incomplete without it. And if this sounds like you, then please share your story. And the second one is: describe a topic, idea, or concept you find so engaging it makes you lose all track of time. Why does it captivate you? What or who do you turn to when you want to learn more? And so the thing that unites these two essay prompts is this idea that you want to tell your story, you want to show them who you are, either through your identity or through your passion. So if you are a musician, if you really, really care about your national heritage, if you have like this experience of being like a girl in science and it's something that has really challenged you and something that you identify with a lot, this can be a great prompt for you to choose because it shows what you value, it shows your thoughtfulness and your future classmates. And it shows your future classmates like what kind of person you'll be. The other one is more about the action. And so I'd like to compare this to a sense of, some people will say, if you don't know that I'm a musician, then you don't really know me. Like if you don't know that I see music in everything I do, that even when I'm cooking, I'm creating a symphony of flavor, that even when I like walk down the street, I feel like the beat of my feet walking across the pavement. Like music, being a musician is really who I am. On the other hand, some people would want to talk about how they feel when they're actually creating music, when they feel the piano keys on their fingers, when they have the guitar in their hand. They want to be able to show the reader, like, this is who I am when I'm creating. This is the part of me that gets completely lost in my passion. Americans love passion. We love being able to see someone who can throw themselves into something. This shows success. This shows like someone who, will be able to keep on going above and beyond. Someone who doesn't just sit back and enjoy, but who tries to actually go out and learn more. And this is the case, whether it's about your own culture, whether it's about music, whether it's about anything else. So if this sounds familiar to you, then please, go ahead and choose one of these prompts. The second one is, these ones are very popular, and this is about growth. The first one is about growth that you encounter in relation to a challenge, setback, or failure. And the other one is discuss an accomplishment, event, or realization that sparked a period of personal growth and a new understanding of yourself and others. And so in other words, this is about the difference between growth as from obstacles, like from sort of growth that was imposed upon you, or growth that was about things that you observed. Are you responding to circumstances, or are you responding to your own observations? When you go to America, when you're studying there, it's going to be hard. Like, Americans are weird. The food is like strange at times. The meat's not so good compared to Kazakhstan. And even though it's going to be, amazing and lots of fun, there are going to be hard times. And the colleges want to know, how are you going to deal with that? How are you going to rise up and go above and beyond? And more importantly, when you do face a challenge, when you face something unexpected, are you going to really be able to take other people into account and see, things from their perspective? For the first prompt, a lot of students, and actually, I really like this topic, I've seen many times and I really don't like it by now. They'll say something like, well, when I was learning English, it was very hard. And I could not speak English at all, and it was very hard. And I studied and, read lots of books and did lots of study and read lots of books. And now I speak English very well, yay. This topic is not like really a very good one because it doesn't show this kind of reflectiveness that Americans want about, okay, you were put into the situation where you were learning English, well, so what? Why did you want to learn it so much? Why did you persevere and put all that effort into it? A student might want to write, for example, like, I was studying English for all this time and I was actually forgetting Kazakh because, I would speak, Russian in the city, and like I was only studying English. I was having to confront, not like speaking my native language as well. And, was it really worth it? Like, was I giving up some of my identity for this thing? And how you ended up engaging with that. this is something that immediately becomes much more interesting and much more personal than just having to deal with English. And that's what makes this essay really good, that it's personal. And when you're writing, being able to show that thing that makes you stop being just words on a page and makes you into this person who's telling a story that only you can tell. The last theme is the "this is my thought process" theme. So obviously, universities are places of education, and you want to be able to show how your thought process is, the way you think, the way you take what other people say into account, your creativity, and your empathy. And so the first question is, reflect on a time when you questioned or challenged a belief or idea. What prompted your thinking and what was the outcome? And then the second one is, describe a problem you've solved or a problem you'd like to solve. It can be an intellectual challenge, a research query, an ethical dilemma, anything of personal importance, no matter the scale. Explain its significance to you and what steps you took or could be taken to identify a solution. So the thing about the challenging a belief prompt is they don't want you to just kind of go and say, like, well, when I was young, they told me that, like, as a woman, I could only get married and, have kids. I challenge that and want to have a career. Like, that's great that you did that. But what they're looking for more is this reflectiveness of understanding where beliefs come from. When you challenge a belief, what it means. And so, like, if you can start to think to yourself, like, well, why did, my older relatives believe this? Where did that come from? In the Kazakh context, again, like, the Soviet Union, like, made everyone work. And so there wasn't this sense of, like, oh, I can just stay home and take care of the kids. So why did people decide that that wasn't good? Or at least some people, right? Taking other people's ideas into account is going to be a huge, huge part of the college application process. And it's going to be a huge part of when you're actually in college. You're going to meet people who believe things very differently from you. And the universities want to know how you're going to engage with them. And so that's what this prompt is all about. The last one, about solving a problem. This is something where, I think it's fairly straightforward. It talks about how you want to show off the way you think. I really like this essay for people to be creative. So for example, like, you should notice that this essay does not have to be about, like, solving corruption or world hunger or world peace. The important thing is that it's personal and significant to you. So if you've noticed, for example, that your shoelaces are always coming untied, and it's because in your country, you can only buy round shoelaces. And you sat down one day and realized that if the country would start selling square, like, flat shoelaces instead, then, they'd be able to save millions and millions of dollars from work hours and from people not having to, like, sit all the time and retie their shoes 3 times a day. This is kind of like a pointless sort of essay to write. It's just about shoelaces. But it's an example of something where you can show, your approach. You can show the methodical way you attack a problem, and you can have some fun too. Let me tell you, like, if you can write an essay where the person who is reading it, who is, probably like a middle-aged person who like, retired from teaching, they've read thousands and thousands and thousands of essays. They've probably read 100 essays that day. If you can make them smile, that's amazing. It's something that's going to immediately put you on the top of the pile, just from being able to make this person remember you and then smile. I do want to say, since we're going forward, that I would like to a little bit about supplemental essays. What we had just talked about was the main essay that goes to everyone. As you're applying through the Common App, you're going to be asked to send essays that are specific to each university. And these essays are all about showing the university that you belong there. Each university is very proud of their specific culture. They're proud of, like, the specific kind of student that they bring. And so they want to see if you're a student like that. And so these essays end up coming in roughly 6 different types. The first very common one is just, why do you want to go to the university? And so, if you write an essay like, I would like to go to Columbia because it's in New York and I like New York, and they're not going to like you. They know New York's great. If you write, I would like to go to Harvard because it is like the #1 university, like they know that. That's not special. But if you can show that your thought process is deep, that you really know the university, that you're passionate about it, you know their traditions, you know what they offer, their curriculum, this is something that makes them think like, wow, this student really belongs with us. And that's something that they want to know. The next one is about what you want to study. And so they know, that in America, most students change, or the average student changes their major 3 times in the 4 years. It's very, very likely that the major that you go into a university with will not be the major you leave. I myself, I started as a chemical engineer when I first went into university, and then I ended up majoring in humanities at the end. They don't necessarily expect you to be completely, knowledgeable about it. But what they want to see is that you have thought about it, that you have an idea that, okay, I'm applying for this particular major now because it's what interests me now. I see these pathways for it. I see like, I have these reasons for my interest. If they see that you're making a thoughtful decision, then they will be more inclined to think of you as a person who, when you finally choose your last major, that will also be a thoughtful decision. And when you go and choose your career, that will be a thoughtful decision. And that you will become a great, successful alumni and be able to donate lots of money to them. The next type of essay is something deep and meaningful about you. It's like Harvard is very much like this. They don't give a word count for their essay. They just say like, write something that's like a prompt. University of Chicago is famous for asking questions like, what would happen if you fell off the edge of the world? If you could write a letter to any inanimate object, what would you write? The reason that they're asking these questions is because they take their idea of like the university culture very seriously. University of Chicago, for example, they have this very, very strong identity of being people who are very hardworking and who are very creative, who challenge the status quo, who like think outside the box. Like they're obsessed with this idea of themselves about this. And so that's why they assign this essay where they challenge you to be creative and to try to, create like this, very strong, solid, but really weird essay, because that's the kind of people that they want. The next essay that's really, really common is that they'll ask you to expand on something that you do, like one of your extracurricular activities. This is because in the Common App, normally you only get a very small space to write about your extracurricular activities and what you do. They understand, like these universities that ask this type of essay, they care a lot about what the students are doing outside of class. They know that they're building a community. And so they want to see like, are you actually going out and having fun? How so? Are you building something up when you start a project to make it bigger than it was? Do you have like the ability to contribute to, the community? And also like how you are in the dorms. What are you like when you don't have to do something because it's looking good on your college application, when you're just in your room with your roommate, relaxing after the day's over? What are you going to do? How are you going to like be a part of the university community itself? This is something that they care a lot about, and it's something that if they ask this type of essay, you should show this side of yourself. Columbia is one of many universities that asks you what books you read. This will also come up in interviews. And the reason for this is because a lot of like the Ivy League schools and other liberal arts universities, even if you're studying science, they're going to make you take a lot of humanities classes, and they're going to ask you to read lots of books. And so they want to know, do you read? Do you like expand your mind? Then you need to be able to say that in the essays. Finally, like, again, talking about community, some of them want to see that you are like, they care a lot about their image as creating people who do good in the world. Like Americans really like to think that they are off, making the world a better place. They'll ask you like, do you volunteer? Do you do something to help out your school community, your town? Like, are you going to use your education for something that is more than just for your own benefit? If you see this kind of essay that a university is asking, then you know that they want you to show that you like are not just in this for yourself. that you really care about people, about making a difference, about making the world better. Finally, some universities like University of Southern California or Stanford, they'll ask like a lot of little questions that are like, what's your favorite movie? What's what 3 words best describe you? What is your favorite book? Where would you go on vacation if you didn't have to worry about money? And my students have always like hated these essays because it seems like, how, if I say this is my favorite movie or that's my favorite movie, is that going to really affect if I get into Stanford? And the truth is that it's not. I mean, it's good in your answers for these questions to have some variety, right? But when they're asking you about these sorts of things, they're doing it because like they feel that they want to see you as a complete person. And they just have this idea that knowing your favorite movie just sort of helps them see you in their mind better. It helps them like visualize you. There's no real wrong answer to it. And so in that case, like you should just be honest. Put the answer that you actually want. And so yeah, these are the supplemental essays. Again, they're all about fit. Research the universities carefully. Think carefully, why are they asking this question? Why are they spending money to read my answer to this question? Like, what are they getting out of it? And then this will help you understand how to properly answer. I do have like some general tips whenever you're writing for the universities. One thing is like, again, what's important to you is more valuable than impressing them. If you're writing something about you that you care about, then they will care about it too. Another thing to do is like a lot of students, they come and they say, oh, I have this story where like something really tragic happened to me and like I want to share it. And that's great. But the point that you do not want to be trying to make them feel sorry for you. The quote that an admissions officer once told me is, show the phoenix, not the ashes. Like if you had to deal with something difficult in your life, then show how you overcame it. Show how you are positive and looking ahead and have hope for the future. What you gained from it is more important than like the thing itself. Don't try to just like use big words, just to use big words. Something conversational is nice. Another thing too is like, if you don't worry too much about if you feel like everyone else can write about the topic that you're writing, if it's something that's important to you, then your approach will make it different. Almost no one really writes a unique topic. Like a Harvard admissions person that has read 80,000 essays, in the last 3 or 4 years, they've seen every topic. And so one thing I will say, by the way, is coming from Kazakhstan, for these big universities, your essays will almost certainly be all read by the same person, the Kazakhstan, like Central Asia person. And so one thing you just need to be sort of careful of is that if your essays like are all sort of similar, like, and look as if they've been looked over by the same person, then they will be able to tell. I've had some admissions officers actually ask me about this. And so just be careful about that. And I will say finally, tell a single story. Do not try to you might feel tempted to sort of try to say like, and this is why I really want to go to university in your main essay. You have supplemental essays for that. You're not going to be able to show everything, all of who you are in 650 words. So just try to be, it's more important. Showing a piece of yourself clearly is better than trying to show too much of yourself and being vague. I wanted to show sort of the process of writing an essay, just to show you like the sense of why it's so involved. So you want to start off with brainstorming and thinking about, what is actually important to you, what possible stories could be interesting. There's lots of brainstorming activities on the internet for you to find. Stream of consciousness writing, I find, is a really good strategy. Writing without stopping. There's a really great app online called the Most Dangerous Writing app that I like to use, where if you, it's free. And once you start writing, it sets you to write for like 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And if you do not type anything for more than 5 seconds, then all of your work will be erased. And this kind of thing pressures you into actually just saying things. And once you can get something down, that's the best first step to actually start writing the story. And then you start to reflect if you need to, like especially for supplemental essays, you do some research and you start to structure. This all gets you just to the point of creating a first draft. And then finally you enter like what I call the rewrite cycle, where you start to get feedback from people to see, how do you feel about this essay? Like, what does this essay tell you about me? And then you reflect, you rewrite, you get feedback, you reflect, you rewrite, you get feedback. And this, you do this for as long as you need. Like, quite a few, students, like the really, really good essays, they can take a month to write. It's really good that you guys are watching this now and can get started now, because the amount of improvement you can do to an essay by really going over it carefully is huge. I just want to close off by saying a little bit about the difference between like what is good writing and what is bad writing. Bad writing is unclear. Good writing is clear. When you are trying to say something like by speech, or for example, me right now, it's very common to just have this half idea in your head. You say it, the words may not come out exactly perfectly, but you have body language, you have the chance to try again, and you can sort of like respond to the feedback of the other person to try to clarify what you're saying. But in writing, you don't have that. In writing, you just have one shot. You have the essay that you send off the admissions person. The good essay is one where you are able to know exactly what it is you're trying to say, exactly what you're trying to convey about yourself, exactly how the events in your story tie together, how they lead into each other, why the things happened there the way they did. And then once you know very clearly what it is you want to say, what traits about yourself you want to say, if it's that you're resilient, that you're creative, that you have a strong desire to learn, that you want to go and cure cancer, that you want to make a difference in the world. Once you understand clearly that and how the story that you're trying to tell says that, then writing will become much easier. It'll just flow, and you'll be able to make the adjustments that you need through the writing process. Because what this process really is about, and what I really hope you guys can gain from this process, it's the first step that you're taking to be able to make what is the first big decision for most of you guys in your life, this ability to go to college. Otherwise, you've been just going to school and you've been following like what your parents say. This is your choice. This is your life. And it's a chance for you to really take ownership of your life. It's a chance for you to be really thinking about who you are and why do you even want to go to this university in the first place? Why do you want to study this stuff in the first place? If you take the essay, this college application process, as a chance to really think about what you want, then when you get your decisions, when you go to college, you're going to have this confidence, even though you're going potentially to the other side of the world, you'll have this confidence that you're someone who has a purpose. Whether or not like your decisions, whether or not your hopes end up working out or not, that you made the best possible choice that you could with the information that you had. And this is something that is amazing because it frees you from regret and from doubt.